All right, so these next two little lessons are the last lessons of the year, so celebrate, but this is it. Okay, so what I want to do, and this is basically just because I know that if you are going to be taking pre-calculus, this will be required of you, just to be able to recognize and graph. So what I want you to be able to do is recognize and graph equations of a circle. Okay, so what's the general, general form, okay, so, or the general or standard form. What is the general or standard form for a circle? Well, the general or standard form for a circle is where h comma k is the center and r is the radius. So for example, if I was to graph, let's do something very simple. I'm going to do 3 examples. Example 1 here is going to be x squared plus y squared equals 4. Well, since nothing is being subtracted from x and nothing is being subtracted from y, the center is simply 0, 0. And the radius is 2. Right? Hence, if I were to actually graph this, this would be fairly simple. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Centered at 0, goes out 2. And so, whoops, that's a little bit off there. But there you go. That's the graph of that circle. Fairly simple. All right, so so that was example 1. Really straightforward. So let's do another example. Just make it slightly more complicated than that, but not very much. X minus 5 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 16. Well, in this case, the center, again, is the opposite, right? It's x, so remember, it's x minus h and y minus k. So the center here has to be the opposite, which means since it's minus 5, the center is at positive 5, comma, this is plus 2, so the y coordinate of the center must be negative 2. The radius here is the square root of 16, or 4. Graphing that would be fairly straightforward. We're going to go to 5 comma negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Here it is. And our radius is 4. So from this center, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just go up, down, left, and right, the radius of 4. And now we're ready to actually graph this. And there we go. There's our circle. So graphing circles is relatively easy once they're in standard form. However, what if they are not in standard form? How do you put a problem in standard form? For example, if I have x squared plus 2x plus y squared plus 8y plus 8 equals 0, and I want to graph that. Well, basically, since I notice I have an x squared and a y squared, and then some term of x and some term of y, what I can do is I need to put it into x minus h squared. Well, basically, I need a perfect square. So earlier this year, we learned how to complete the square. So that's what we're going to do. Basically, I'm going to do x squared plus 2x. I'm going to leave myself a little space, and I'm going to do that. Same with the y. So I'm going to put y squared plus 8y I'm going to leave myself a little space, and I'm going to set this thing equal to -8. So notice I move the constant to the other side. Now, what would be my perfect square here? Well, if you remember, what we do is we take this number right here and divide by 2. So since this is a 2, when we divide by 2, we get 1. This is going to turn into x plus 1 squared. However, for this to be x plus 1 squared, notice if I multiply this out, I would get x times x, x squared. X times 1 is 1x. 1 times x is another 1x, hence the 2x. And 1 times 1 is 1. There should be a plus 1 here. But if there's a plus 1 there, I need to put plus 1 out here. Then, on the other side, we're going to do the y's. So the y's are plus y squared plus 8y. I'm going to change this into y plus 4 squared. Hence, the y times y is y squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's because y times 4 is 4y, but then 4 times y is also a 4y, and 4y plus 4y is 8y. But this also is going to have a 4 squared. A 4 squared, on the other hand, though, is going to actually be a plus 16. But if that's a plus 16, I need a plus 16 out here. Okay, so that means this factors into this, because we made it so. This factors into this, because we made it so. And this over here, well, -8 plus 1 is -7. -7 plus 16 is 9. And so we have our center at -1, -4 with a radius of 3. And that should be pretty easy to graph. -1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our center, but the radius is 3. So 1, 2, 3. We'll continue down, and we'll continue over 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so where are all our points? Well, if I go 3 over, I'm here, 3 down, I'm here, 3 up, 1, 2, 3, I'm here, and 3 to the left, I'm here, and now I'm ready. Whoops. So this graph is not good, but it's a circle. There we go. And that's how you graph a circle, and that's also how you can put from a, from a multiplied out form like this. This is how we can get it into the standard form, by completing the square. All right. Well, you have 4 of these types of problems. Most of them are pretty easy, but you have 4 of these types of problems on your homework. So good luck, and let me know how it goes. Thanks.